This episode of the Burnout Recovery Podcast is brought to you by MEGA, your medical indemnity partner. Whether you're starting out in your career or have decades of experience, MEGA helps you thrive with support that goes beyond insurance. Enjoy travel benefits like complimentary travel insurance and Qantas points on your membership, plus education, medico-legal support, access to career coaching and wellbeing resources. Visit mega.com.au to learn more. Insurance issued by Medical Insurance Australia, which has not taken into account your objectives or situation. Before you make any decisions about our policies, please read our PDS and consider your needs. Call us for a copy or visit mega.com.au. Busy day, quick question, no time to dig. Heidi Evidence brings the evidence to you. Clear answers with citations you can trust. Completely ad-free, unlimited and region-aligned. Find evidence in the chaos. Search HeidiHealth.com.
Welcome to the Burnout Recovery Podcast, a guiding resource dedicated to healthcare professionals on their journey to overcoming burnout. Spearheaded by Dr. Joe Braid, a certified professional coach and rehabilitation physician.
Hello and welcome back to the Burnout Recovery Podcast. I'm Dr. Joe Braid, your host and fellow healthcare professional. Today we're diving into a topic that's at the heart of our daily experience, mental energy. Where it really goes, why it feels so limited, and how we can reclaim it. So if you've ever ended a shift feeling utterly depleted, or wondered why some days feel harder than others, this episode is for you. We'll explore how to track your energy, spot the drains, and use neuroscience-backed strategies to optimize your cognitive load, both at work and at home. So let me tell you about a coaching client I worked with recently. We'll call her Kate. Kate runs her own allied health clinic. She's built something incredible, but with that comes the weight of responsibility. She has a team to support, staff rosters to manage, and the clinical work she loves. At home, she has 2 school-aged children with their own needs, homework, activities, emotional ups and downs. And then there are her parents who are aging and increasingly needing her help with appointments, decisions, and just being there. So when Kate first came to me, she described feeling like she was running on empty. Rock bottom. Not just tired, completely depleted. She said it felt like her brain was foggy, like she couldn't think clearly anymore. Simple decisions felt overwhelming. She'd snap at her kids over small things and then feel guilty. She'd lie awake at night, her mind racing through tomorrow's to-do list, unable to switch off. And what struck me the most was when she said, "I feel like I'm failing everyone, including myself." The emotional weight of it all, the guilt, the frustration, the exhaustion was crushing. She was pouring from an empty cup, and she knew it, but she didn't know how to stop. Kate's story is so common among the healthcare professionals I work with. We're managing high cognitive loads at work, and then we go home to more demands, more decisions, more emotional labor. And for those of us in the sandwich generation, caring for children and aging parents simultaneously, the mental energy required is staggering. And we often don't realize just how much it's costing us until we hit a wall. So let's talk neuroscience for a moment, because understanding what's happening in our brains can help us make sense of this exhaustion. So here's a striking fact. The brain uses up to 25% of the whole body's metabolic energy, even though it only makes up about 2% of our body weight. So that energy goes towards tasks like decision-making, emotional regulation, and maintaining focus. Research confirms that these cognitive processes are metabolically expensive. Our brains are working incredibly hard to perform these prefrontal cortex executive decision-making tasks. So now think about what we do in healthcare. We're making clinical decisions, managing complex information, regulating our emotions as we support patients and families, and often multitasking across multiple demands. Every single one of those activities is drawing from that finite energy pool. And when we're in high stress, that 25% can feel like it's being drained faster than we can replenish it. And here's where it connects to burnout. Chronic cognitive overload doesn't just make us tired, it can fundamentally change our brains. Research from Stanford WellMD and other neuroscience studies shows that sustained stress and mental exhaustion can actually shrink the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation. So that, of course, makes it harder to recover, can cause us to create more errors, which we know is linked to burnout, reduces our empathy, and overall increases our risk of burnout. So when Kate told me she couldn't think clearly anymore, that wasn't just a feeling, it was her brain signaling that it was overloaded and under-resourced. The good news is that self-awareness is the first step to change. By understanding where our mental energy goes, we can start to protect and replenish it. So, how do we do an energy audit? Here's a simple framework you can try this week. Firstly, track your energy. If we don't know where our energy is or goes, then it's harder to know how to address it. Try one day, maybe try 2 days of jotting down what you're doing every hour and rate your mental energy from 1 to 10. So if you just have a diary there or a piece of paper with 2 columns with the hours listed, just write a single number between 1 and 10, just rating how your energy is. Notice patterns. When do you feel sharpest? When do you crash? Kate did this, and she was surprised to discover that her energy plummeted after back-to-back patient appointments with no break, and again after dinner when she was helping with homework while mentally planning the next day. Secondly, identify your energy drains and boosts. Look for tasks, people, or situations that consistently drain you. Are there moments that recharge you, even briefly? For Kate, clinical work with patients was energizing, but administrative tasks and constant interruptions were major drains. She also noticed that a quick walk at lunchtime, even just 10 minutes, gave her a noticeable boost. Optimize your load using the framework I always come back to. Sleep. Prioritize quality sleep. This is your brain's best reset button. This is when your brain clears metabolic waste and consolidates learning, and there is no replacement for sleep. Support. Delegate where possible and ask for help. Kate started delegating more admin tasks to her practice manager and asked her partner to take on more of the evening routine with the kids. Mindset. Practice self-compassion. You're not a machine. When Kate caught herself in that I'm failing everyone spiral, we worked on reframing it. I'm doing my best with finite resources. And finally, movement. Even a short walk can restore mental clarity and give your prefrontal cortex a break. Next, set boundaries. So aim to limit multitasking and interruptions. Try batching similar tasks together. Kate started blocking out time for admin work instead of letting it interrupt her clinical flow. She also set a boundary around not checking emails after 7 p.m. And finally, I wanted to include organizational approaches for you too, because much as this podcast often has individual strategies, we know that 80% of the contributors towards burnout are system-wide. And so I want you, whether you are a titled leader or not a titled leader, but I'm sure you've got some form of leadership in what you do, here's my final organizational approach that you might want to bring into the workplace. If you're running your own practice or in a leadership role, you have the power to create systems that protect mental energy for yourself and your team. Consider protected breaks, reasonable appointment schedules, clear communication channels, and shared decision-making. Model these behaviors and support your team in doing the same. And if you're not in leadership, you can still advocate for these changes and start conversations about cognitive load in your workplace. So let's pause. Where did your mental energy go today? And what's one small change you could make this week to protect it? Here's your action step. Try the 2-day energy audit and share your insights with a colleague or friend and notice what shifts, even if it's subtle. Here's a reflective question. What's one boundary you could set to safeguard your mental energy, either at work or at home? And remember, you're not alone in this. Kate's journey didn't end with that first conversation. It took time, small steps, and support. And that is how burnout turns around and burnout recovery happens. If you'd like to bring these conversations to your team or organization, it's just a little reminder, I am a speaker and deliver workshops and leadership intensives on burnout recovery and healthcare well-being. Just this week, I delivered a 2.5-hour workshop that was really well received by leaders in rural healthcare. They said one of the feedback lines was around, wow, this has given me permission to start working on my own self-care. And somebody else said, I'm going to go back to work and talk about the rates of burnout that are so common in healthcare, rather than it being a topic that everybody knows about but not talking about. This amazing audience were ready to take it back into their workplaces. So I always tailor my presentations to meet the specific needs of the organizer, and I'm currently taking bookings for workshops into the second half of 2026. There's more information on my website using the links in the show notes. Thank you for listening and for all you do. Until next time, take care of your mind as you care for others. Ready to take the next step in your burnout recovery journey? Visit drjoebraid.com for free resources, all 150 plus podcast episodes, and information about my keynote speaking. Links are in the show notes. Your well-being matters. Protect the asset that is you. You know those moments where you're between patients, everything's moving fast, and you just want to double-check something without falling down a rabbit hole? Heidi Evidence helps you to get to a clear answer with citations you can see pulled from trusted guidelines, research, and even your own uploaded docs. It's completely ad-free, no sponsored results, no weird ranking, and it's unlimited, region-aware, and fits into the workflow you're already using. It supports your clinical judgment. You stay in control. Find evidence in the chaos. Search HeidiHealth.com. Be your best you. Rely on MEGA for your protection and support, serving doctors for over 125 years through insurance, education, medical legal advice, and member benefits designed to help you thrive and succeed. Insurance issued by Medical Insurance Australia, which has not taken into account your objectives or situation. Before you make any decisions about our policies, please read our PDS and consider your needs. Call us for a copy or visit mega.com.au.